Hey everyone, welcome back to Tagtastic. Today we have our first actual tech haul of the channel. This is from the e-waste pile at the place I work. I have permission, took them all. So these are completely untested. I have not even touched them yet. I just brought them up into the room. We're gonna have a look at them and see what's wrong with them. This one here obviously has major screen damage. This is probably going to be a salvage video more so, just because if that screen is damaged there, that screen has some damage here. But anyways, to start us off, over here the small form factor PC is an Optiplex 3020, and all the information I have on it is right here on this sticker, and it says it has an i5 CPU. They all actually have i5 CPUs in them, which, if that's the case, we're looking at some pretty good payday here if we can prove that they work. That's going to be the hardest part, is figuring out if they work. Okay, so looking at this PC here overall, it doesn't look too bad on the front. I thought this was major damage in the screen here. Bring it closer, you can see it is just a... oh, never mind. Putting in the light, it is a giant crack in the screen. So this screen is certainly not going to work. I did not see that before. I thought it was just a scratch. Turning it over, you can see it has been split open, which was possibly when they threw it into the pile. It's split all the way across. So we take a peek inside. You see anything good in there? No, hard to tell. Let's get this back off. So to remove this back panel, you must take off the stand first. If you can see past my arm, there's 4 screws here, here, there, and there. That's going to take off this back stand. I'll unscrew those and catch up with you. So the stand should be just about ready to come off now. All 4 screws are out. Should just pull up and off just like that. Stand has been removed. I don't think it's going to be worth anything by itself, so let's put it off to the side. Okay, so now getting into the back is a little bit more tricky, but you should... I'm going to start up top here, move it over a little bit, where you can see it's already split open. You should just be able to take a screwdriver, even a Phillips head will work. Just work your way around. Okay, so I was struggling with that because I did not realize it still had a CD drive in it. So you can see here the CD drive is missing the front panel it's supposed to be on it. That just pulls out, just slides right in and slides, or slides in and slides out. Simple as that. We're going to put that off to the side. That ain't worth nothing. So now the back panel is free, and here we go. The moment of truth. Ooh, nice. I see an SSD in there. That's a nice SSD. That's a good SSD there. I found SSDs similar to this in these computers I pick up. That is probably a 250 gig SSD. That'll be a nice pickup if that works. That's probably 35 bucks in itself right there. Maybe not, but let's take the SSD out. We'll see what it is. Okay, the SSD should be free now. There was just one screw right here, and then one exactly opposite on the other side. So the SSD should be free. Just slide back and then out, and there we go. So it is an Axiom, I believe. Focus camera. My camera won't focus. There we go. It's an Axiom 250 gigabyte SSD. Probably a fairly cheap SSD, but you know what? It's better than any old hard drive, I'll tell you that. So that right there is probably 30 bucks. That's what I'm gonna value it at, is 30 bucks, just because it is used. All right, on to the next part. Okay, so the next part, we're taking off this panel here to access the motherboard. It looks like there's only one screw. So if we unscrew that screw, okay, I'm not too worried about losing screws or not saving them because it's a salvage PC at this point. The screen is junk. I'm after the parts that are inside of it, like that SSD, for example. So this panel should be free. It is. Okay, the panel has been removed. Just a metal plate cover. It probably acts as a heat sink as well. There's some foam pads here to protect the components, but I don't see any thermal pads, so I'm going to set that off to the side. Okay, so we do have some RAM here, which is also the same brand as the SSD. We all know how to remove RAM. Just spread the 2 tabs on the side and pop it out. An 8 gigabyte DDR4 stick of RAM. I don't know why that camera's not focusing. Oh well, it's okay. 8 gigabytes. I'll take a picture of it for you. And then we also have a second, I'm going to guess, 8 gigabyte stick. It is. So we have 16 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM. And I'm going to guess that is probably 20 bucks, I'm going to say. Though it is DDR4, so maybe 25, 30. Not entirely sure. I'll have to look that one up. Good find. Okay, I have you zoomed in here just so you can see the heatsink and fan a little bit better. Don't mind my hands. But I've already loosened up these 4 screws just so you don't have to see it on camera. So it's just 4 screws on each corner. That's going to pick straight up and off. And we do have a CPU. Excellent. Okay, so here is the heatsink that connects on to the CPU via that thermal paste right there that conducts the heat away from the processor and sends it into the fan. I'm going to zoom you back out now. Now, anybody want to take a guess what we have? I'm guessing we might have a 6th gen series i5 here. Let's find out. Let me go get a tissue and wipe that. Well, another great find here. We have an Intel Core i5 6500T. That is going to run us about 45 to 50 bucks. I'm guessing. I haven't looked up any of these parts yet, but that there is a very good find out of this saved from the trash heap Dell Optiplex. Alright, let's keep digging in. So about this time when I'm taking apart these computers, it's hard to really prove that this motherboard will work without having the identical system, which unfortunately I don't think that I have the other identical system. The other one like it has the smashed in screen, so unfortunately this motherboard is pretty much worthless. We can't really turn it on at all because there's no display out, unfortunately, that I've noticed. There is a display port out, so we might be able to run that board to an external monitor and prove that it works, because that board there might be worth 20-30 bucks. I'm not entirely sure. Again, I've never looked up any of these parts. So I do have some unfortunate news. I do not have the proper plug to put this thing into the wall. Unfortunately, that means that we are not going to be able to test this motherboard at all. I've just tried one charger and we did get a flashing red light over here on the power button, but I think that's because it's the wrong charger. So unfortunately, we're going to have to call it quits only this far into it. We can't even take that motherboard out to be bothered with because we don't have a means of testing it. After some quick eBay searches, I'm going to say that the SSD is probably worth about 30, and the RAM and the CPU, I'm going to say about 40 each. 40 for the set of RAM, not per stick. 40 for the i5 6500, 40 for 16 gigs of RAM, and probably 30 for the used SSD. This I'll probably keep. These I will most likely sell. So that's going to give us a grand total, if we can make that much money on them, of $110. We're going to be conservative and say 100 bucks on one PC with only four components, not 5. So hopefully with this, I did not look up the motherboard because I just don't want to be sad about how much it's worth, possibly, and we can't test it. I don't sell untested stuff. So yeah, we're going to set these aside, and then we're going to move on to some of the other ones. Get right to it. Here is the next one. This is a Dell Optiplex 5250. My apologies that the other one was not a 5250, it was a 3050. I apologize about that. This one is the 5250. I don't know what made me think that, so I have to change the title of my book there. So this one is quite a bit different. This one has the plug for the power down here on the bottom instead of being a small like laptop style plug. This one we can see already is missing the RAM, unfortunately, but I can see a CPU under there. Hopefully it's going to be something good, something special like an i7. Don't find those very often. The SSD is also already missing, so there's really nothing on this one except for that CPU. What we will do is leave that in there for right now. Well, we'll see what it is. We'll leave it in there. This one is the one with the shattered screen, and let's see if it has a external display. It does. Okay, good. Right here, HDMI and display port. So we should be able to hook up an external display and see if this thing does work. That way there, we could be able to sell the motherboard and make some more money. This one is the one with like the hole punched in the screen, kind of. Don't know what happened to it. If they threw it out of the truck and it landed on something sharp. But anyway, we have power supply. This one is a bit bigger, so let's give it a try. We have it set up with this HP monitor. Yeah, Dell hooked up to HP. It looks a little funny. Let's plug it in, and we'll see if anything happens. Oh, seems like there's some pieces of plastic in the fan or something. That's not exactly a good sign. Okay, I'm not seeing a signal yet. Might take a second if it does work. So does this mean that we can assume that the motherboard works because the screen came on, so it's communicating with everything? I think that's going to be a win, that the screen is at least on. At least write that the motherboard did power up. So I guess let's crack that CPU block open there, and we'll see what we have for processor, and we'll go from there. Well, again, I'll decide what to do. Not expecting that. Check that out right there. That is an i5 7600. That is a great find there. That's a pretty high priced processor, I think, or was a couple months ago when I sold one. That is a great find there. I think we might end up trying to sell this motherboard. Let's take that out and get a closer look. Okay, so it's looking like 65 bucks is the dead middle. This one brand new. This one's certainly not brand new. It looks like 65 bucks. That's a good find there. Alright, so I went ahead and removed the power supply because I have a thought. I think maybe if we combine the power supply and the motherboard into one sale and get 30, maybe 35, I think that'll be worth the sale, absolutely. I don't see why not. So there was just one screw right here on the power supply that I had to take off. Just unroute the wires. And there was a screw here on this little plastic panel. Screw there, one tucked down in there that was hard to find, and one right there, and it just pulled right off, just like that. So I believe, yep, there's a wire here that does not want to come off. I will figure out how to take that up. So I guess that wire's not meant to come off, so I took the whole little panel off, the little light, power light that it runs to for the back, and then there's the where the power cord from the wall goes in, that has to come off. Let me stand this up, maybe you can see it. There we go, just something like that. So this is the power connection here. That has to come off, and I am not entirely sure to do that. I will figure that out. Alright, so there was just one screw right here. That was it, and just pops right off, and there we have it. And there we go. We have the power supply that is out. It has only 1, 2, 3 wires that are on it. That's it. That's probably 15 bucks, I'm gonna guess. If we combine it with the motherboard, we'll list it for about 30 to 35. So let's put that aside. Alright, now to get out the motherboard, there's going, from what I can see, there's 1 screw, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There might be one under there, I'm not sure. So let's get that out. Here is for the screen. Let me get you a little closer. You see this one. These ones can be tricky. This here is the connector for the display. It can be very hard to remove if you're not sure how to do it. So on the side here, there are 2 little tabs on each of the sides. You can do it with one hand, but it's easier with 2. So all you got to do is pinch on the side like this. Use your second hand. There's a little tab right here. Just pull back, just like that, and it's disconnected. Simple. The station is starting to get a little cluttered. My apologies. That's what happens when you work on stuff with small screws and small components. So I did have to remove the metal bracket that was here just to get to the rest of the motherboard. I didn't realize it kind of cornered off right here. So that exposed 1, 2, 3 more wires to remove. So these just pop. Moment of truth. Here we go. There we go. Get it this time? Nope, still another wire. There we go. And there it be. My goodness. Probably gonna get some hate for handling it by hand like this. But oops. There we go. We have a Dell Optiplex 5250 motherboard straight out of the computer. Witnessed it for yourself. Let's see what it's worth, or what we could sell it for rather. We already know what it's worth. So I did a quick search on that 5250's motherboard. It doesn't really look like it. Some of them appear pre-owned, $17.99 free shipping. So this is the result of my workbench. The computer is just taken apart. The power supply is there. That should actually be over there. We get drill, pen, screwdriver, a bunch of screws, heatsink, what's left of the computer, bracketry, and the monitor we used. So I'm going to split this up into 2 videos with maybe even 3, I'm not sure. But these 2 higher end computers, the 5250 and the 3050, and then the ones that are still on the floor here, the 3230s, are going to be their own separate video. That I might throw in or just do something with it off the video. But that's going to do it for this episode of Techtastic with the 3050 and the 5250. I hope you all enjoyed stripping them apart and saving what we can. I will let you know how eBay selling goes in future video updates. Thank you.